everybody. I'm on a Zoom call. It's been a while. And I've been talking to Kristin Thomas over the phone, over text for a while, and we've been lining that up. Last time we've seen her, she was instrumental at the ICF World SUP Championships in Hungary, where she was the race director. Great event. Kristin, extremely involved in the SUP sport, and of course, I don't think we're going to need to introduce her here in particular, but what I really like to introduce, and this is the reason for our call, is a logo on her hat. Kristin started a USA SUP organization with which they had a booth and an initial launch at the Carolina Cup, and that sparked a lot of interest and curiosity. And therefore, I would just say, Kristin, fire away. What's going on there? What you guys got cooking there?
Well, first off, Mike, always great to talk with you. Always interesting. Appreciate you so much. Mahalo for having me on. And yes, we had a great time out there in Budapest, but today we're going to focus on USA SUP, which I didn't start by myself. It's a whole group of volunteers, been talking about it for a year. We feel like it's really there's precedent for it, and it's setting up something that's needed. We think there should be connection between all the races and SUP that's going on. We decided to really focus specifically on racing, on competition, events, I should say, and participants. We don't want to scare anybody away. We want to be really grassroots and grow from the bottom and make sure, I mean, we have a great opportunity coming out of this whole pandemic thing. A lot of people got stand-up paddle boards. I don't know how much you saw it in Hawaii, but we saw inflatables for the first time in mass around here. Well, if they love stand-up paddling, of course, you know, you're involved in a number of different types of things, directions you can go. Yeah. But one of them is certainly racing, and racing is one of the events, is one of the best places to connect and find the community. And while it's an individual sport, we think so many people love the community. We do, and we want to share that. We want to get people involved and again, connect them. So in the United States, we're a national governing body. You know, in the US, being a nonprofit is an important thing in the sport world to connecting. We want to be a bridge between some other organizations that are out there. There have been organizations, I'm sure we'll mention them, that have come and gone. But there was just a real missing piece there of taking all the racers and all the races, trying to list them. We want our website to be the resource, the place you go to find all events. There's some great lists on different media places. We have you listed. There's a link to your website.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you haven't seen that yet. And we have resources for anything to do with stand-up paddling. We want it to be really inclusive and broad to start with. So we started with 0 sponsorship. So, you know, those of us who were going to Carolina Cup, which was half of our board of directors of 8, had a little booth and launched it. We've had a really successful launch. Super stoked that there's almost 150 people and companies that have already joined without a lot to give. I mean, we're sending them their founding member sticker and a thank you letter, and we want them to be part of building it this year. So there are pieces that haven't quite launched yet. We're going to have a ranking system. We've kind of divided our huge country into regions, but we know there's thousands of paddlers out there, hundreds of events, and we don't always know about each other. And again, we're trying to make that connection because we think people care about community. They love the benefits of competition. And if they don't yet, we want them to know about it. How's that for a start?
Okay, so building bridges, and it's actually kind of interesting because I feel like we talk a lot about international organizations. We talk about different European country organizations, but actually when it comes to the US, it's always, as far as organizations goes, to me at least, it's always been a little bit of a black hole. We had, like, there was never really, you were never really sure on how much the federal or the Federal Surfing Association in the US was involved with SUP. That was never really clear. There was, at least not to me, the Canoe Association in the US. To this point, I'm still not sure where or how it exists or what it does. while in other countries it appears to be one or the other. And of course, this is the whole tug of war here, is the canoe versus SUP. But in at least each country, there's either one side is dominant to the other, or they're both tugging on it. But in the US, we haven't seen neither nor, or have I just turned a blind eye?
Well, they do both play a role, and we're there has been stuff going on international level, and we're not ignoring it. We want to help maybe explain it and connect it and understand, but it's very much top down. So we think the national focus, the domestic, is where there was that black hole that we want to shine a light on and bring together.
Yeah.
But we're not saying, so under the ICF, if you're familiar with the whole battle that went on at the international level, they asked their country associations, the ISA and the ICF, to tell them, you know, and send teams. But in many, many countries, they weren't involved in stand-up paddling. And it was a big ask, I think, for them. And I think a lot of us stood back, and you've been a good one to go out there and keep asking questions and what's going on. And I don't know if we all, I think we sat back and kind of just expected the whole thing to fill in and that black hole to disappear. Yeah. And I think that was wrong of us. So that, you know, there's that 20-80 rule, the 20% who get things done, you know, who are we to start this? Well, somebody has to. I know you've asked that question specifically, like, somebody needs to do this. Who's going to do it? Well,
yeah.
Some of us stepped up to do that. Yeah. So we've got a great board from all regions of the US. We have from pro to casual paddlers to the competitive in between are on the board of directors. We hope, again, to represent every level of paddler, from the aspirational racer that we can hopefully get to join the community as a participant, to those, you know, we will want to support them going internationally, but the focus is definitely on the thousands of paddlers in the US and its territories, and helping them connect. So we'll have this ranking system will be in your region. At least 3 of the 5 events, you'll be ranked on your best 5 events, need to be in your region, but we want to encourage travel. We hope by finding out about other events that people will move around perhaps when they get excited about our sport. So yeah, we have reached out a hand to both the ACA, which is the organization under the ICF for canoe and kayak, and USA Surfing. You know, we don't hear that much, but we want them to know that we're there, and you know, we're working differently with both, and we're an independent contractor. Let's think of it that way. And there is precedent. Other countries have done that. South Africa has a great organization that's SUP only, that's helping out both the surf and the canoe and kayak side. I believe in Switzerland, they have an organization. Sometimes, like you said, they have decided to associate with one side or the other. We're trying very hard to be SUP-centric, SUP-focused. And that means in our world today, there are events that are big, that are international or national, that are put on by other groups. Yes. That we want everybody to have, who wants to be at the top, to go have access to those. Yeah. And to understand the path to get there. That's been a little bit of a problem too, is just communication. And we hope to fill in a missing piece there too. Yeah, so like you mentioned Switzerland, and I'm familiar with the case there. And what happened there is the Surfing Association was kind of like, yeah, maybe. The Canoe Association was also kind of like, yeah, no, we're interested. So they brought the people together, they created SUP Swiss, and they are now the ones that, under basically the patronage of the Surfing and the Canoe Federation, are holding, say, tryouts. For example, now they are starting with a sighting team and doing sightings and then tryouts for the possible participation of a team in Puerto Rico. That's what they're doing. I feel with the ICF, they don't have to do that much yet, because you still kind of like, everybody can show up. Mm-hmm. But they do actually, we did work with, some of us worked with ACA last year to identify who the American team was that scored points, because they are starting to do points. You're right, the ICF is still an open event. So in Poland, everyone is invited, and there's a 40 plus and a 50 plus and a youth category besides the open. There's money on it. They, of course, have expanded, as you know, events to have World Cup events. And we have the first one in the US in Oklahoma, August 26th through 28th, which we're really excited to see how that turns out. I'm most excited because it's a joint kind of a festival event. And there's a Red Bull event going on during it in the Whitewater, which I think would be super fun. I think we should
Oh, cool.
form some teams. You want to be on a team, Mike?
I'm always happy to throw myself into a carnage.
And
It's
then
always
there's
fun.
the Super Cup, which is getting a little confused with SUP for the people, because this river sport is one of the amazing man-made venues, just beautiful. Has we'll be able to race at night because they have lights like a stadium. There's just so much going on, but there's a whole invitation only event for the top people in the kayak canoe world. So we'll be overlapping with all of these things going on, and it will be a I think it's going to be a produced, kind of like you do your show, like videoed, and then they're going to do a production show out of
Gotcha.
everything that's going on.
It's a
which will
full-blown
include
thing.
us. Yeah, full-blown thing.
Okay, and SUP USA is going to be there, and you will be representing.
Not officially. We're not trying to do events or be events right now. We're just trying to connect events. Like we've had events already we say, put the logo on. We're not doing any kind of sanctioning or putting money on things. Again, with the idea of being inclusive, we're just reaching out and trying to find all the events all over the US, make sure they're on a calendar, make sure people can find out about them. As you know, registration platforms. I asked you about Hawaii because I have a little trouble finding Hawaiian events, but they don't all go to Paddle Guru, or they don't all go to WebScore. They seem to be a little bit independent over there. And but you have great stuff going on. You know, M2O is virtual this year. They still had issues with Molokai, but I saw that they're going to have an amazing event. I forget, is it Claudia? Now, who is it who puts that one on? The M2M with a whole event in Molokai. Sounds like
yes, that would be. Her name is Claire.
Claire, that's right. That has a long Hawaiian name that I can't remember the whole name.
You know, to be honest, I'm drawing Holokai, the Molokai.
Yeah, Molokai, Holokai. Anyway, there are still some great events happening in Hawaii. And I don't know if, did I hear Patalimua might even be back?
Patalimua is definitely back. Yes, that's going to be on the 17th of July, that weekend. That is going to be back. Other than that, no, actually Hawaii is a little scarce as far as paddle events goes. Not, of course, in the OC1 classes and all of that. There's strong paddling there. But as we all know, in Hawaii, we have the foil, everybody's paddling, but now they have the foil underneath and they paddle. They still do downwinders. They still do with paddling. It's just everything has a foil attached to it now.
It's still very, very high on my bucket list. I've been to Maui, but not as a paddler, and have never done the Maliko run, which I feel is a crime. What? I've done M2O as a relay, but I have not gotten over to Maui to do the true downwinder, right?
Wow, see, that who would have thought that?
Well,
who would have thought that? So just to wrap this up real quick, so the SUP, USA SUP, so what's going to be like, what's the ultimate vision, the ultimate goal, the ultimate accomplishment?
Again,
4 or 5 years from now.
I think all of this business has made us feel like we're an add-on, and we're not. We feel stand-up paddling as a sport is unique and has a place. It's the most versatile watercraft. You can use it on any body of water. There's all these different disciplines, which make it wonderful, but sometimes splits us up a little bit. We want to bring that together. We want to bring people together. We are interested in connecting then with those organizations that we mentioned in other countries too. But there should be SUP representation that's SUP only. And even under those other sports, they have, you know, a bodyboarding division or a dragon boat or outrigger division on the paddling side. But we are that hybrid sport in between, which there's no precedent of having somebody at the top level for the Olympics, 2 organizations fighting over a sport that, you know, and a lot of us watch that feeling like, who's representing us there? Like, where is the leadership in this sport? So figuring out where everything is going on, connecting everybody, making it easier and more fun to be part of the stand-up paddle community.
Cool. Well, then there's a beacon of hope there with Kristin Thomas and her hat. Hopefully that we get some clarity, like in this country, and then maybe the same concept can be applied internationally. Who knows?
Absolutely. So it's usasup.org. We hope you'll check it out. Please, I'm answering contact@usasup.org right now. So if you have any questions or suggestions, send them our way. And whether or not you become a member, you still will be ranked. We still want to hear from you, and your event doesn't have to be necessarily connected, but we appreciate those who want to be a part of really building this out.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Kristin. And
Thank you,
everybody,
Mike.
we'll see you guys in the next video. Aloha. Thank you.
Aloha. So